Good morning, everybody. This is Michael DeSilvis, and we're having a in the news update for Sunday morning. Yeah, we don't always do that, do we? But we are today. So I wanted to tell you that lots of things we need to be thinking about. We're going to talk about chemtrailing and what it's doing to our climate. Many people think that these big corporations and all are getting paid big money to do experiments on the earth that are really destroying our atmosphere. It's kind of like, the way Mars is, because that's the way God made Mars. I don't think there was any civilization on any other planet except for us. But what happened to Mars, or way Mars is what's going to happen to our planet. If we keep doing all this chemtrailing, and we keep doing all this aerosol spraying, God knows what else, and heating up the atmosphere with laser beams and God knows what else they're doing, trying to play like God. See, when you play like God and you're not God, when it comes to weather or anything else or genetically modifying stuff, you lose everything because you don't know what you're doing and you're not God and you don't think about all the variables. And see, there's like big money to be made here, right? But yet it's like the expense of killing millions of people, all because we wanted to make a little money and not tell the truth and be totally honest about what we were doing and what it's doing and destroying the planet. Do you know every year they cut down about 3 to 4 football fields of rainforest, and not just South America but also in Africa? And the more they do that, the more it's going to disturb the weather and climate patterns around the world. Because the rainforests, both in Africa, in South America, and even I think they have some down there, and they have some down in some tropical climates. They have them all over the world. That's just 2 places. But all these rainforests in both Africa, southern tip, and in South America have a lot to do with the weather pattern that shapes the world's weather pattern. And God put them strategically into places where they are. Instead, they want to tear all those down so they can make it into farmland and build neighborhoods, which really is so retarded. I mean, we have 90% of the world that has not been charted or explored or developed, but yet they want to destroy God's crowning jewel that help sustain the whole Earth's ecosystem. The rainforest really is connected with that. And see, these dumb nuts, all they're worried about is ones and zeros. Ones followed by a lot of zeros. Money. And they're not worried about the real impact of what it's really doing to the planet, what it's doing to the climate all around the world. When you look up and you see in the sky, you see all those chemtrails and you see all that webby substance up there, that's not just exhaust like people think. That is chemtrailing. That stuff eventually falls on the planet, and in that chemtrailing, there's what is called air particulates. Air particulates can range from a variety of different types of metals and different types of chemicals, and those things aren't good to breathe in and are not good for the plants either. In some places, you can see where the ozone is getting thin and where it's actually burning leaves literally on the trees. At Walmart, for instance, not around here, but in other places, certain places you can see where the leaves have actually burned because the ozone is so thin that the more horrible or more rays are getting through, and more people are getting more skin cancer than before because that's a sign that the ozone in the atmosphere is getting thin. Also, just to let you know, this is no conspiracy theory. That's really true facts about this stuff. Another sign is that people are getting blister burns on their skin, which they never had before. More and more. The Bible talks about that in the last days because the ozone is thin. The atmosphere is thin because man tries to play God to get rid of carbon monoxide, and what they end up doing is destroying the whole ecosystem of the earth. And that's what they've been doing since the late 60s to the present day. Thinking that they have an upper link on this stuff. And it's really not true because God put man in charge of the world, but he didn't tell man to destroy the environment. He told man to be stewards of that environment. That's what the Bible says, to watch over the environment, to take care of the environment. He did not say to destroy the world and everything in it. He did not say to dump the Fukushima radiation into the ocean to destroy fish and to cross-contaminate and radiate and kill fish. It's really what feeds everybody in the world, and it's going to destroy all of life. Massive die-offs are happening, even in the ocean. We've seen an awful lot of deaths. Seals are washing up on the beach with seal-lined cubs. They're washing up on the beach because there's no food for them to eat, because the food has died off, it's gone, because of all the stuff they're doing in the atmosphere. It's causing lots of effect on lots of different animals, which are now distinct. They're no longer here because of the strain that's being put on the climate and the environment. Kids are being born with immune deficiencies more and more than ever before. I've never seen so many kids have so many different types of food allergies in my life. When I was little, you hardly heard anything about this. Only a few kids have it. But nowadays, when you have kids, just about everybody's got some kind of immune or low immune system deficiency. And it's because of what they're doing to the environment. It's what they're doing in the atmosphere, spraying all these particulates, Lysols in the atmosphere. All these things add up to what destroys our planet and will destroy us. You got to remember, like I always said, I refer to the circle of life. God is in the center, and God created as being the crown jewel of all creation, that he created in his own image, and then the animals and every plants and all go below us. And see, when they get affected, we will be affected. And we're already being affected. We have babies coming out more and more deformed. Babies coming out with disabilities and deformities and allergies and different immune problems. Epilepsy, autism is on the rise. All this is all connected to what's going on in our environment. Okay? And a lot of people will deny all this stuff, but it's really true. And all the information, what I'm saying here, is not classified. It's out there public. You just got to look it up on the web. But it's all there where you can get right to it. It's all about making money at the expense of millions and billions of people's lives. And literally, I mean their lives. I love people and I love life, but I hate to see it taken away because of some stupid bureaucrats who just want to make money at the expense of everyone's life, which is so selfish and wrong. But that's what they're doing. You got these mad liberal scientists that are conducting all of these weird experiments to try to cool down the atmosphere. Now, why would you want to cool down the atmosphere? When you do that and you do all this weather modification, that's why it's drying up in places where it should be raining. Or they're getting too much rain in other places where they have mudslides. And like what happened last week, over 1 million people were homeless. Last week when a bunch of storms came through. I can't remember where that was, but that's true. That over 1 million people are homeless now because of that. I think it's largely to do with all this chemtrailing stuff and weather modification that's going on. It has something to do with that. See? That's why there's all these weird storms coming up. Where it storms, you get too much rain, or if it doesn't storm, you get drought. And see, all these chemtrailing and chemicals is like the genie that was taken out of the bottle. And all this stuff is what's destroying the environment and destroying this planet. And we have to wake up and clue in on that fact. Because if we don't, it's going to be too late. We've got to stop this before it's too late. The alarm sounds are already going off. The whistles are going off. Now it's up to people in legislation and people like us to put a stop to it before we don't have a planet or atmosphere left to enjoy or to live in, because we won't be able to live here because the atmosphere will be too far gone. Think about it. It's up to you. It's up to me. Let's do something about it together corporately as Americans. And let's clean up our environment. Stop all this waste dumping, chemtrailing, Lysol spray, lasers heating up the middle parts of the stratosphere. when God knows what else they're doing, which is offsetting the planet's natural way of handling the weather and balancing things out. It's Michael De Silvas. I have a sermon coming up here in a few hours. I love you. Take care. God bless.